Hello, welcome to the Hat on Head News Cabin. It is April 3rd, 2020. Going to give you the headlines, coronavirus update with upwards of 1 million cases, 58,000 deaths in the U.S. We're about to reach 7,000 deaths. Pretty sad, somber day here. You go outside, it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. Feels weird, just a really strange time. So we're going to get right into it with the numbers here. All right, there you go. That's the number. 1,087,000 coronavirus cases. Here's the deaths, 58,000 deaths. Take a look at the curve. And yesterday we had 53,167 total deaths. And just yesterday was 5,900 deaths. It's definitely what's on everyone's mind. If you're not feeling this, it's because you don't feel empathy for people around you, I suppose. But it's just, everyone's hurting from this. Every country is affected. And when you hear kind of statements about certain parts of the country that are saying they're not affected by it yet, I just don't, those statements don't make sense to me. Everyone's affected by this. All right, we're going to go into this Johns Hopkins heat map here. Nothing really changed. Northeast U.S. getting messed up right here. Europe, it's looking pretty tough out there. We'll look also at the by country. 6,946 deaths in the United States. Italy up to 14,681. Spain 11,000. No one should really believe this number. I don't think it's actually changed since yesterday. It seems like the Chinese authorities, the government, their response has been to not participate in the global investigation and search for knowledge and search for solutions. It's unfortunate. Definitely want to make this distinction between Chinese people and the authorities, which is important, but it really does look like they're not cooperating. So, all right, now we're going to go to this map here. This shows areas where there has not been a stay-at-home order. We'll see how this affects the spread of the virus. We'll definitely be looking back at this and seeing what effect it did and didn't have. I think that now everyone has a stay-at-home order, but this was just a couple days ago here, and there was a bunch of area, so it's pretty unfortunate that we could not understand that this isn't a situation of being independent-minded and wanting to do things yourself. This is a health crisis. It's a virus that spreads through all human beings, and so we all have this risk, and we needed to work together. We still need to work together. When you see the partisan bickering, it's just really annoying. The response should be non-essential personnel stay at home. There should be more emphasis on social sorting for older people who are clearly more at risk, and there should be face masks for everyone who's going out in public. These are definitely not the things that were put in place. This has been a couple months to try and figure out what's going on, and still, I find myself finding information and putting out stuff that's really important that people need to know, and it feels strange because when I'm digging to the bottom of are masks effective, why should I'm not a medical professional. I'm a YouTuber. This is ridiculous. So I just really feel like the CDC has a lot of responsibility for this lack of guidance and this disjointed response that certainly will cost lives. All right, now we're going to take a look at what's going on in Japan. I know this is a story from CNN. Some of you are allergic to CNN, but this information just helps us to understand the difference there with how they're reacting in their culture. Even in the coronavirus pandemic, the Japanese won't work from home until Shinzo Abe makes them. Salarymen in suits crammed into trains during the rush hour commute after staple scenes in Tokyo. Up until a few weeks ago, 52-year-old Hideo Tokiyoshu, who traveled into the capital from neighboring Saitama Prefecture for work each day, was among them. The English language teacher moved to online lessons after his students grew anxious over the coronavirus pandemic, which has killed more than 46,000 people globally, according to Johns Hopkins University. Tokiyoshi, however, is a rare case. So they're talking about a teacher who did move his classes online, but that was a rare case. While Tokyo's governor Yurioki Koike has urged the city's 13.5 million residents to telework where possible until April 12, and major Japanese companies such as Honda, Toyota, and Nissan have asked staff to work from home, many employees are still commuting into the capital where subway trains are busy during rush hour. It's a similar story across Japan, where about 80% of companies do not have the ability to let their employees work remotely, according to 2019 government data. So the coronavirus information is on our mind, and we're scared more than you would expect. But for average Japanese, work is always the highest priority and the biggest excuse. Unless the government shuts all businesses down, with a few exemptions, no one will stay at home. We're slaves to work. So this is exactly it. In a culture like that, competition and their business is so important to them. They think, if I stay home and my competitor is able to not stay home, well, he has a leg up on me, right? So this is why the government has to come in and mandate, so that you don't have someone who basically is being more of a risk taker, which is something that in business is obviously rewarded, but you have to mandate that behavior to not have that happen. And it seems like there's many countries, to include Japan still, that are allowing people basically that want to push the envelope, who want to say, you know what, it'll be okay. And the thing is, with something like this, it probably will be okay. And that's the problem, is you have to be benevolent and care about other people over your own business. And that is not something that good business people do very well. So that's why the government has to come in and make this mandatory. All right, now I'm going to bring you here this story from Boston.com. This story here talks about a business, Boston Sports Club, who had a terrible response to COVID-19, and I think that they're going to pay for it over the long term in terms of terrible publicity. I was a member of Boston Sports Club. I don't like them that much. There's a lot of things I don't like, but so to me, this clearly shows that they messed up. So Boston sports clubs wouldn't let memberships be canceled during the coronavirus outbreak, then they charged them. Forced to close due to the coronavirus outbreak, gyms in Massachusetts have responded in a variety of ways to the economic and public health crisis. Equinox announced a freeze on its memberships, meaning that members wouldn't rack up expensive monthly bills while the gyms were shuttered. Planet Fitness did the same. I'm a member there now, and that is true. They did. Local chapters of the YMCA asked gym members to continue paying monthly fees to support the organization's staff and other programs, but still provided ample option for those who could not, as the pandemic wreaks havoc on the economy. Boston Sports Club took a different approach. After Massachusetts announced its first set of aggressive social distancing orders, the local chain abruptly closed its 30 locations in the state on March 16 and laid off all of its club-level employees. Then it went silent. The gym's website says members can suspend or cancel their memberships in person at any club location. The catch, of course, was that BSC had closed all of their locations and only publicized the fact 4 days later. The club also said members could send a cancellation request to the club or the member services department, for which no address was provided. Over the course of the following 2 weeks, multiple BSC members fumed to Boston.com and on social media that they were left with no path to cancel or even freeze their memberships, which ranged from $30 to $100 a month. And they weren't alone. Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey's office said Thursday that they have received 54 complaints against the gym related to their closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm now out of a job and can't afford a service I can't use, wrote one user on Facebook. Wow, so this just highlights a business that did the wrong thing. And this shows you, like, this is an opportunity for businesses to either have amazing publicity if they go out of their way and they adapt well to this, you see all sorts of businesses that are being praised by the media, and then there's other businesses that handle this the absolute wrong way. And in business and in all facets of our life, we are going to be judging those who had authority, who had power, who were they were the ones that should have done the right thing. And there's a decision maker here at Boston Sports Club that did the wrong thing, and that company will pay for it over the long term. This story here talks about Trump and 3M. So this is from NPR, so obviously they don't like Trump, just throwing that out there from the get-go. But the story does provide us some value as to what's going on here with these 3M masks. Slammed by Trump, 3M says N95 mask exports from U.S. should continue. A key maker of N95 respirator masks, 3M, is arguing against a Trump administration request to keep U.S.-made masks in the domestic market, saying the policy could backfire by triggering retaliation. Trump signed a Defense Production Act order Thursday, specifically aimed at requiring 3M to prioritize orders from the U.S. government. Right, so if Thursday's presidential order directs Federal Emergency Management Agency Administrator Pete Gaynor to use any and all authority available under the Act to acquire from any appropriate subsidiary or affiliate of 3M Company the number of N95 respirators that the administrator determines to be appropriate. The company responded publicly Friday morning, defending its efforts by saying the company and its employees have gone above and beyond to manufacture as many N95 respirators as possible for the U.S. market. Yeah, so the way I see this is that there wasn't a plan in place. So this is just a reactionary thing where Trump gets a hold of, oh, these masks are being exported. But we live in a global manufacturing environment. So we're manufacturing important things for other countries that they need, and other countries are manufacturing things for us. So because there's no real plan in place, obviously 3M has to manufacture as many masks as they can, and there are other people other than the U.S. that might need them. I'm not, maybe Trump, see, the thing is that a plan is what's necessary, and this seems reactionary to me. All right, last story here is about the stimulus check and how it may not arrive until August. I'm going to read this, but it really looks like the government does not have a good plan in place. They keep on talking about how, you see them get up there on the podium and they answer these questions as if they know what they're talking about. But it does not look like there's a delivery mechanism that is possible to get everyone a bunch of money. It just isn't there, right? And that's what we're going to read right here. Some Americans may not receive their stimulus check until August. Here's what you need to know and what to do about it. A new memo obtained by the Associated Press claimed that although 60 million stimulus checks will be distributed in mid-April, other Americans who did not provide their direct deposit on their tax return potentially may need to wait months before they receive their stimulus check. The House Ways and Means Committee memo says that check distribution could work like this. Week of April 13, 2020, 60 million checks distributed through direct deposit. Week of May 4, 2020, the IRS will start sending paper stimulus checks. Each week thereafter, approximately 5 million paper checks will be issued each week. Based on this tentative schedule, the memo says that some Americans may not receive their check until the week of August 17. So, and the thing is here that you got to understand is that this reporter went in and did this math and had to figure out that there's no way that they're going to get their money until August 17. It's not like the White House had a good plan that was like, okay, this is how we'll do it. They gave out a plan that said it's all taken care of, and then people have to go in there and figure out that it's absolutely not going to work. All right, guys, that's the news here for April 3rd, 2020. It's a challenging time for everyone. The COVID times, we'll definitely be remembering back upon this as a time where we watched a lot of movies, ate a lot of food, and started to lose our minds. So that's why I think that my recommendation of keep your hat on your head, this is what we need to do. We need to maintain our sanity. So when I say keep your hat on your head, it really has nothing to do with a hat. It's really about you have your day to do. You have your challenges in front of you. Don't let your mind get clouded up with all this negativity, all of this stuff that's going on. especially people who are very empathetic towards others. You know, when you have thousands of people dying every day around you, it can be heavy. But what we need to do is we need to get through this, you know, and we need to get through this. Everyone has their own day to do. You have your own decisions to make. Everyone's got to do the best they can and help each other's neighbors. This is really a time where you look at, you know, we did a story here about a business that basically showed that they did not care at all about the community. Well, the community is going to remember that. And I think that this is really a time to put your community first, to help people around you, to do the best you can, be benevolent, keep your hat on your head. Thanks for joining me.